can bigger, bolder, faster. Going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum.
Woo! How are you feeling? Feeling good? Day 3, almost done. Really excited about this panel. Thank you for the last one. This is something that I've been doing for over 10 years, e-commerce. So I was really excited to get these panelists together and talk through it. I'm very passionate about it. And I remember 5 years ago seeing that e-commerce in the Philippines was going to be massive. And I know the last 2 years it's been just incredible how far it's been. So we're really excited to have people from all around the world here talking through. So why don't we go through quick 30 seconds, introduce yourself, and say something about your experience with e-commerce.
Great. I'm Matt Sorg, head of technology at Solana Foundation, which is basically the ecosystem side of Solana, so helping a bunch of businesses, lower their barriers to entry. I've been kind of in e-commerce, especially if you consider video games e-commerce. But my second startup is actually a direct-to-consumer hearing aid company as well, so I've been kind of on all phases of e-commerce.
Adam Twersky, the Director of Immersive Experiences for Lore, and we are providing metaverse real estate for fashion designers to reach their customers. So it's a new channel for retail.
My name is Max Ward, CEO of Libera. We're working on digitizing over 1 million sari-sari stores in the Philippines and other countries, and helping micro retailers to sell their data and sell more products.
Hi guys, I'm Gio Comia. I'm a Web3 content creator, as well as a marketing specialist here in the Philippines. I recently entered into e-commerce through social media e-commerce marketing, especially TikTok, which is the biggest trend right now in the Philippines. And it's been doing well. I've had my fair share of experiences, and that's it.
No, that's amazing. So I'd love for you all to talk through what have you seen that's changed in the last 2 years when it comes to retailers moving into e-commerce and now adding in Web 3.0 components. So what have you seen in the last 2 years that's accelerated retailers moving to e-commerce and then now adding in a component of Web 3?
Well, I think COVID really accelerated a lot of just even people not even really needing a storefront. I mean, the amount of industrial kitchens or just direct-to-consumer businesses that operate locally has really risen. I spent a lot of time in Seoul, Korea this year, just starting up a few engagements there. And that, much of their economy now runs just just e-commerce, like direct-to-consumer, but like just through trucks and things. How Web3 plays into it, I think we're still figuring out exactly how to resolve all of the pieces necessary to find product market fit, but you can really just start naming a few that would just really start lowering frictions across like regions as those businesses expand from their local to more international. I think that you can really start seeing some business opportunities.
What he said. No, I think there's a lot of integration with social media, different combined campaigns so that you can sell more through your different channels, sell through your direct website, sell through social media campaigns, a lot of integration with that.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've seen is obviously e-commerce has really accelerated in Southeast Asia and around the world during the pandemic. And there's been a very rapid proliferation of SME retailers and small shippers that are really finding new ways to sell products and build interesting, fast-growing businesses. And one thing that's common with a lot of these businesses and supply chains is there's a lot of working capital tied up in them. It's very hard for these new businesses and small SMEs to get financing. So I think when implemented correctly, Web3 and blockchain can give options for financing. And it can do that by creating more trust around the shipment record and creating additional data streams. So bringing data forward, using micro-incentives and other means to get more information, and then the financiers that are very interested in these fast-growing businesses are more likely to fund them at better costs of capital and more quickly when they have that data. So it's really about Web3 as a data acquisition mechanism to then enable these small companies to grow their business more quickly.
All right, he's right about it. During the pandemic, it became really huge here in Southeast Asia. And then what I can add into that, everything became creative. Like it started with just shops like Shopee, Lazada, Amazon, and then we transitioned into content creation, e-commerce marketing. Like everything's like people-centric nowadays. Like there's already sign of it being Web3-ish, even if it's not. And it's already a good sign that new developers might get an idea from. And that's basically it.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear, and I want you to
right.
elaborate on something. I'm a big proponent of owning your own data.
Yeah.
And what I would say is building your own real estate, not on rented land. And when I say rented, I mean Shopee and Lazada.
Yeah.
Not saying they're bad platforms. I think it's great to start.
Yeah.
But long term, I think it's very dangerous to build into someone else's home where they can shut you down at any moment.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to touch on, for people out there that have products and services, maybe they have a small store, maybe they're selling on Shopee and Lazada, but they really want to branch out and own it. What can they do with social media right now?
Actually, basically, social media, it's all about what the trend right now happening is about content creation. Like being the forefront, being the face of it. Because of course, you're not really protected with Shopee and Lazada because they really own the platform. You're operating within their platform. What I think the opportunity for Web3 companies, maybe future developers out there that can onboard Web3 to e-commerce and of course content creation, there's really a huge opportunity there that make it more people-centric, that we can own what we have.
Amazing, thank you. Appreciate that. Matt, I'd love to hear from you. What technologies right now are you looking at towards the future that people should be paying attention to?
When I think about it, I think a lot of cross-platform stuff. Actually, I have my exact technology with me. This is actually our new phone that we're helping to. We just do the software layer of the phone. We do the secure enclave, make sure that there's blockchain signing in the secure element of the phone, so it's really easy to program it without having to worry about exposing your user's keys. But then it's also great user experiences, because I think what's really interesting about what he's saying is, you can expose these brands through a specific platform like TikTok or whatever, but then I think the ideas being tossed around are like, Web3 can almost instantly give you cross-platform. Where you're not really locked into TikTok, you're not really locked into a specific vendor, all of a sudden you can have each of one of those entities kind of accelerate all parts of the business, because as a consumer, I just go to any one of those, your content is served there in the same way, and then so is the commerce. It's served there in the same way, and each of them will just have their own little flavor. And me as a consumer, I don't have to care all my assets. Like if it is a mobile-friendly phone where my keys and my liquidity goes across apps, I don't have to care where my money is, because it's everywhere.
Thank you. And Adam, I'd love to hear, I think people are talking about Web 2.5. I like to say Web 2.4 because I think it sounds funny, but this whole transition of not going all in and moving everything to Web 3.0, which we saw some brands do and fail. But how do you merge what you're doing together? Can you talk through what you're seeing in terms of, I know what you're doing with Lore, but just in general, how you can move slightly in e-commerce, but not move all the way in?
Sure. So, this is a nice time of the new technology where people can kind of play with new campaigns, play with new strategies, and not have to worry about making it so profitable for these brands. They can test like anything really, and see the feedback, see the buzz that it gets. So when companies, when news media are writing about what a brand is doing, whether it's a high-end fashion brand, or it could be like a sports brand. Rawlings was putting out a mitt of an NFT, and you could have it digitally, or you could have it made and manufactured and receive the physical one. These are campaigns that aren't going to make a lot of money, but it creates the buzz, and that's good for the entire industry as a whole, really. So it's just a lot of different, things that are being tested right now. It's an exciting time, I think.
Excellent. And so, Max, I'm curious. A lot of companies, more so maybe in the US and Europe, they're actually moving from e-commerce back into retail. I had some recent discussions with the executives from Toys R Us and Build-A-Bear, and what they told me is it's actually very expensive to acquire a customer online, at least in those markets. Southeast Asia, it's a little bit different, but some markets it's very expensive. So what they're doing is they're, of course, still doubling down there, but they're like tripling down actually going back into retail. So I'm curious from your perspective, working with Sorry stores and a lot of these, physical brick and mortar, how do you see, Web3, e-commerce, and even expanding on brick and mortar in the future?
Yeah, I think brick and mortar isn't going away. And whether it's Sorry stores or distributors, wholesalers, and the brands themselves, it's just everything is becoming omni-channel. And having a physical storefront is very useful. I mean, the number of actual physical storefronts in Philippines and Indonesia is rapidly growing, from about 1 million and 3 million respectively to larger and larger numbers as the economy is booming. But in many cases, these storefronts become means of distributing new products. And there are even some brands that are putting NFTs into their product mix. And believe it or not, when you carry that and you sell an NFT as a range of SKUs, for example, for Adidas, for example, or even Colgate, believe it or not, then your margin as a retailer on that NFT is better because you don't have inventory carrying cost on it. It has no carbon footprint. You don't have to order it, move it, put it in a truck, and deliver it. But you do need a Web3 mechanism to bring it into your point of sale environment, to transfer it to the buyer. And I think there are ways in which that can increase net revenues for everybody in the cycle. But you're interacting with actual consumers. 115 million consumers in this country go to 1.1 million brick and mortar places to do a variety of shopping. And Gcash and digital mechanisms and interaction formats are in those stores already and in increasing numbers. So it's really a rapidly changing landscape. It's pretty exciting, I think.
Are you kind of talking about making like royalty or loyalty kind of rewards across different payment providers, or what's the flow there?
It's partly loyalty, discount mechanisms, NFTs, to even for Sorry stores to buy more products from distributors at discounts. But it's even when you look at apparel, and you have virtual SKUs that you can take into Metaverse that you might buy at the same time that you're buying an actual physical item. So, and you start to see that in Dubai, and I think it's coming to markets like Philippines and Indonesia as well. So you're starting to sell digital products in addition to physical products. I also know there's one company that I know, part of the same accelerator program, that has been a sneaker and shoe sourcing service for a long time, and in China. And then what they've started to do is sell an NFT version of the design of the shoe. And so basically, then the designer in the U.S. or in Europe says, "This is my sneaker. And I want to distribute, samples of this. So I'll have a physical sample, and I'll also have an NFT version of it." And then they package that as a complete service, and then they say, "We will make the thing for you, and we will and ship it to you as an actual product. We will also give you an NFT version."
I've seen actually a really cool version of this. It's not totally baked in terms of the full logistics of it, but you can actually sell different attributes because there's going to be some run of inventory, and instead of having as the distributor to price every single little thing myself, if I just produce those all as NFTs, and then the users can pick up what configuration they want, they can do the price discovery just through the pricing, just the open market, and then they can, when they certify that this is the shoe I want with this color here, this color there, this lip here, then gets taken off the market, which I think is a really fascinating thing because it saves a lot of time with pricing. Pricing is really hard.
Yeah, and from my experience, we've launched many products, and pricing is very complicated. Either you're priced too low or you're priced too high, and it is a challenge. So that's good to try and help that. Gio, I'm curious, Malls in the Philippines, I've traveled to a few recently, and I couldn't believe, I went to Market,
Yeah.
and I think there was 100,000 people there. It took me 45 minutes to go from the top elevator down. It was insane. And I think a lot of countries are trying to figure out, are malls still alive? Are they dying? What is happening?
We're in the Philippines, of course. It's Christmas season. It's basically seasonal at the same time, but at the same time, places like market, Filipinos like bargains. Like if you're gonna go to market, they always sell bargains like buy 10, you're gonna get a huge discount. It's one of the places like that. Also in Divisoria, we have places like that here. So same thing as in e-commerce. If there's always a bargain, Filipinos are craving to get it because they always want to get a discount. It's always about that.
So how can people take the same concept of the mall in the Philippines and create an experience that's similar, or maybe they want to sell to a consumer outside the Philippines, but how do you create that same experience right now?
Right now, you mean in Web3?
Just in general, yeah, e-commerce. So right now, if they want to launch their store, how do you create that same experience that's going to appeal to the market here? Because there's also people that want to enter the Philippines market,
Yeah.
but they're not. But it's different, and they don't exactly know how to go after those consumers.
It's actually basically about interaction. What these malls have is interaction. What is trending right now? I told you about TikTok has this thing called the content creation marketing, affiliate marketing. So basically, what that creates is a creator like signs up, partners up with a brand from any other country to promote the product, and they just simply click the button, the yellow basket, to buy the product. It basically creates interaction. So what that does is, of course, it's more authentic, like a person using the product, and you're like, of course, you like talking to the person in person, like in malls. So that's basically the Filipino way. It's all about authenticity.
Oh, great. Thank you for that. And Matt, I'm curious. We were just talking about reward systems. I don't know if Solana is doing anything or what you see on the horizon when it comes to how can people, whether it's like Max was mentioning, it's in-store or online. When it comes to reward systems, Web3, I don't know if Solana is doing anything or if you see any new technologies on the horizon to help.
We produced a primitive calling Solana Pay that has a lot of token-gated commerce or kickbacks certified, like any value transfer of a fungible token, some percentage it goes back to the retailer, so price discovery or things like that. I think the main thing is that's really interesting here is when you put something in code that's very transparent, the commerce becomes pretty beyond just what you're creating, and you potentially have other people building on top of what you're building to add even more value to your own ecosystem. And that's going to get really cool. So like if I sell something that now has this like visual representation, somebody else can use that in some other experience. And I'm okay with it because that extra value is just going to enhance because I have all these certified value transfers back to me. I think that's a pretty powerful concept.
Awesome. So we're almost at time. I'd love to go through maybe 30 seconds each. There's going to be a few billion-dollar companies that will come out of this room. The next billion-dollar company will come out of somebody at this conference. So what do you say? And I think e-commerce is a massive way for people to generate wealth. And I saw this 10 years ago when we started. What do you say, starting with Matt? What's going to inspire people? How do you motivate them? What do you tell them that somebody is on the fence right now and is going to create that billion-dollar company?
I think in ecosystems a lot. I think that this Web3 ethos is we're sharing data, we're sharing right access with each other's inventories, with each other's products that we're making. And so you're entering this incredibly collaborative environment that we've never seen before as humans at this scale. It's crazy.
Awesome. Adam?
I agree with the importance of data and really making the experience user-centric. So you want to cater to that customer. You want to provide as much support in their shopping experience while at the same time giving them the feels, giving them the emotional connection to the product that they're buying, and increase a social element in that. So whether it's shopping among friends, whether it's sharing to the socials. I think the data and the social element are going to be really, really big as we move forward.
All right, Max.
Yeah, I think it's the growing middle class in emerging markets like the Philippines is larger than the U.S. middle class, and their disposable income is growing more quickly. And I think the companies that can really tap into that very rapidly growing market are going to be worth well in excess of $1 billion. And that growth trend is only going in one direction. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the trend is going that way. Like what he said, it's all about authenticity. Like what I said a while ago, it's more like people-centric. It's supposed to be people-centric. Like you create a demand for the people by how they feel, what they need, and so on and so forth. That's why I love Web3. I love what Web3 is doing in general. And hopefully, someday in the future, a Web3 company can really do wonders in the e-commerce industry.
Amazing. Let's give it up for these panelists. Thank you so much for being here. The future of e-commerce.